Hey guys, it is now my pleasure to talk to you about my drug abuse problem. Not current, not while I'm driving, no, not on drugs, but my drug abuse problem. My name is Michael. I am an addict. And some of you have heard this before. I posted a video about it, but I lost the video. So I thought I'd better do another one because this is important to me. It really is. I may be taking it a little bit too lightly right now, but this is a very serious thing, this drug abuse problem with pain pills. Now, let me give you some of my history. If you were just coming in, you never heard anything that I've done before, but you know, I used to, whenever I was in my 20s, I'm 47 now, but whenever I was in my 20s, late teens and early 20s, I was, I drank a lot of alcohol, went out and partied with my friends, did everything possible I could to get in trouble and to treat people wrongly. That's just the way I was. But once I really started following Christ, things changed. It wasn't an overnight change, but it did change. And it has its own story about me getting out of that lifestyle. But it was a lot quicker than me getting out of this lifestyle that I'm getting ready to talk about. But I ended up going to seminary, becoming a pastor. And let me tell you something, guys. I'm sold out for the Lord. I've been sold out for the Lord. I mean, all I wanted to do was do something that was just giving my life for Him. After, I straightened everything out, I figured, here's the straight and narrow. Maybe I'll go into some little side ditches here and there, but nothing very serious, especially nothing like I was into before my late teens and early 20s. That part of my life is over. Now I'm going to be straightening people out that get into that or are into that and helping them to follow the Lord. I never expected, to have this problem. I had never, there was one time before, whenever I had a root canal on that tooth, I had took some pain pills, and I remember having a little bit of fun with them, over at my friend's house, getting dizzy. I don't know. Small memory of it. I didn't get into them or anything like that at that time. Didn't care that much for them. And as a matter of fact, after a while, I didn't like to take anything for pain. I didn't take Advil or aspirin or anything, Tylenol, and especially I wouldn't take pain pills. I just thought it was, I just thought I was too tough for that kind of stuff. And that lasted 15 years or so, or 20 years, until, around 2010, I was at my house. I think I had something done to my toe. Maybe I had an ingrown toenail. Those things are painful, very painful. You've never had one. I mean, that can drive you crazy. But anyway, I had an ingrown toenail and it was very infected. And I was looking through the cabinet. I'm breaking down. I got to have an Advil or an aspirin or something. So I couldn't find anything except for I found something from my wife that she had from a long time ago. This prescription of pain pills that the doctor gave her for a surgery that she had. She never took any, and I looked at him. I said, I've got to have something. So I took one. And after I took it, my eyes brightened up. It took about 30 minutes, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is just amazing. Because from my standpoint, back then, I didn't know anything about these things. All I knew is that it made me feel like I was 10 times the person that I was before I took it, but the same person. In other words, I felt like it took my personality and helped me to be better at everything. A better father, a better husband, happier, a better preacher, I was like, wow, these are kind of instant antidepressant pills. I've always been a little bit scared, and I have nothing against them, but personally I've been scared of antidepressant pills because I just don't want to get my mind hooked on anything. So I was like, these are just an on-demand type thing. Isn't that ironic? I didn't want to get my mind hooked on anything. These are just kind of an on-demand antidepressant. And so I started taking them for that, just to be in a good mood. And would go up and get prescriptions because I had back problems, but, just really be getting them for my mood. And so, I don't know, push came to shove, through life circumstances, hard things. No reason to get into a bunch of stuff, but I've just, I've worked it over in my mind over and over again. Well, how do I get myself into this? And I don't know really, but it could have been life circumstances, could have been, just the immediate circumstances that happened that got me addicted. But either way, I got addicted to them, and I couldn't quit taking them. This lasted for a little while. I was able to stop, and then a little bit later got back on, but I don't need to give you all the details of the story except for this. They absolutely grabbed a hold of my innermost being and mind and took over completely. I mean, I was done. There was no more Michael left. It was Michael who is in pursuing, trying to get some pills from somebody, anybody, any friend that would have them, anything that my wife could do to get them for me, anything that I could do to steal them from my mother, who was, I was just terrible. The doctor gave them to me for a long time, and, I took them and I manipulated the doctors the best I could. I lied to myself. The worst thing you do in these circumstances, lying to yourself. You get in a position where you really do believe yourself. So I was taking care of my mother, and I do have a bad back that I had to have surgery on. And so in my mind, it's always, I have to have these. I have to have them. And anytime somebody would talk to me and try to talk me out of it, I would say, you don't understand, because I know myself better than you, and I know that I have to have them. Well, yes, in my mind, that's what I thought, because I had worked myself into that. And you don't just manipulate others, but you manipulate yourself first. And you see yourself as someone that has to have these things. And I was taking them no longer at all to feel better. That's what a lot of people don't understand about pain pill addiction, or heroin addiction probably as well, because it's the same stuff. But it has nothing to do any longer with a high. Yeah, you are chasing a high, but after a while, you're not chasing a high. You're chasing zero. You're chasing to get out of the negative category, because it drops you so far down below who you were. Remember whenever I said it accentuated who I was and made me a 10 where I was a 4 or a 5? Well, now it's made me a negative 10. And all I want is a couple of pain pills in order to get back to zero, just to get back level, so that I can function, so that I can get out of bed, so that I can do anything during the day and function during the day. It was horrid. It was a trap. I was in it for years, deep in it for 4 years. Deep in it for 4 years. Luckily I did not have constant access all the time to them, but the last couple of years I did, and it was the worst time of my life. All I wanted to do was stop. And that's one thing you got to understand as well. Those of you who are addicted, you know what I'm talking about. Have been addicted, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you who know someone who is addicted and you're worried for them, you got to understand, nobody wants to get addicted like this. Nobody wants to be controlled. It's not as if we start off and we say, hey, you know what? I just want to have a lot of fun for the rest of my life and be completely controlled by something else. Nobody expects it to happen to them. And it just happens. And once it happens, it's a trap. And then you really do want to stop. There's nothing else you want to do but stop. You're ready to die because you can't stop. You're staying at zero and you can't get anything. And the pain of withdrawal, the pain of not having any, the pain is so severe. And it's not just body pain. Yes, it's there, but it's just this mental pain that comes upon you, this absolute depression that is so dark, so deep, you don't want to live anymore. You really don't. I did not want to live. I did not want to kill myself because I knew what this would do to my family, but I did want God to take my life, and I wanted to die. I'll do that every once in a while still, because I'll get depressed, but this was constant. I just prayed for God for some way to take me, some way just to let me have a car crash, let me have a heart attack, a stroke, anything, so that there's not the humiliation and the stigma of suicide within my family coming from me. I know what that does to people. It's so destructive. And I prayed for it. I prayed, Lord, just take me. I'm done. I'm done with ministry. I can't do anything else for you. I've already ruined everything. I've ruined myself. I've ruined what it is that I did everything that I wasn't supposed to do, and I didn't mean to, and I'm sorry. And this is what I would say to him. I'm just sorry. I'm so sorry, Lord. I don't want to be like this. Please help me out of it. And he didn't immediately. Some people he does. I don't know. That's a real confusing thing for me in life and in ministry and with my relationship with God, is whenever you want a really good thing, why he doesn't give it to you. You know, whenever you want sanctification, whenever you want to change for the better, and it doesn't happen. Well, this wasn't happening. You know, I wasn't changing for the better, and it lasted a long time. There was a lot of tears, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. I didn't lose everything like most people do. There's a lot of consequences that I'm still playing out, of course, but you know, my wife is still with me. My kids still love me. They still respect me somehow. I still even have ministry. I don't know. He didn't take everything away, but it was so painful, folks. And you're asking me, you're thinking, what happened to make you stop? How in the world did the change happen? And you know what? I wish so much I could tell you what I did and how it came about and what the pattern was and what rock bottom was for me. I mean, I went to the hospital 17 times. Now, granted, this was over this side condition called rhabdomyolysis that the doctors said was unrelated, but I knew it wasn't unrelated because I only got the rhabdomyolysis whenever I took the pills and started sweating to death. That's the fact. I mean, I know the rhabdo was caused by that, but the doctor said it wasn't, so I told everybody, hey, I'm not going to the hospital because of overdose. I'm going because of rhabdo. I even wrote a blog about it. You might have read it. Waiting to die. Sorry about that. I was waiting to die because I really, you know, was stuck on pain pills. So how did it happen? How did it stop? I don't know. I mean, I was at the hospital the last time, and there was something about my wife and the conversation that she had, because the rest of my family was encouraging her to kick me out of the house until I stopped. And we were sitting in the car, she was sitting right next to me, and she just looked at me and she said, Michael, I don't want to do what they say. I don't want to kick you out. I love you so much. And she's crying, you know, tears are coming down her eyes, and she says, please stop somehow. And something snapped in me, and I don't know when the snap happens. What's the perfect storm that brought about the snap? I can't tell you, but I did look at her, and for the first time, I made this commitment that I think I really believed more than I ever. There's a commitment that you make, there's commitments that you try, there's tricks that you try on yourself, and then there's times whenever you finally make a decision and you know the difference. Well, I knew the difference, and I knew I was going to stop then, and I promised her, I said, Christy, as sure as it was on our wedding day, whenever I said, I will never leave you, I'm making that same exact kind of promise. I will never do these drugs again. And, you know, I mean, God help me. God help me. It's been, you know, I don't know how long, few years, 2.5 years since that day. And I haven't. I mean, I don't know how. It's a difficult deal. I mean, pain pills. I don't know. Anytime I hear about somebody coming off them, even though I came off them, I'm like, how did you do it? How in the world did you do it? That's impossible. I mean, maybe I talked a while back about the only miracle I've ever seen. Maybe this was a miracle. You know, I mean, I can't tell. I think God used regular circumstances, all kinds of things that came about, and I finally just stopped. But maybe this was a miracle. Maybe it was just direct intervention and him snapping something in my mind saying, okay, you're done with it. And, you know, you've asked for long enough to stop. But I stopped, and I'm so thankful. I mean, you don't know, you can't imagine the difference. Only those of you who have been there can't imagine the difference of being completely controlled by something like that, and then now not being controlled. And there's not many things in my life that can upset me too much right now, because every time I think about all the different hard things that I go through, I think, at least I'm not on drugs. At least I'm not on drugs. You know, I give everything and anything not to be on those drugs. So that's my story of my drug addiction, my pain pill addiction. Thank you for listening. I hope it helps somehow. I mean, people want me to talk, come and speak about this sometimes, and I can tell this story. That's what I can do. I can tell the story, and I can tell you, hey, go get help. Do everything you can. Don't stop. Don't ever stop trying. Keep on getting back up. I know you feel like a failure every time you stop and then you start again. And I know it gets worse and worse every time you start again. Just don't stop and keep trying every single possible thing. And maybe the perfect storm will come about that you won't be able to define either why you stop, but you'll just be able to stop. Hey, listen, one more thing. I'm not in the car, obviously, but Here's the thing. Don't beat yourself up too much over this. I mean, it happens to the best of us. You can get out. People do. I know it seems impossible, but just don't beat yourself up too much over it. I know that that's what I did so often, was I beat myself up and felt as if that was the penance, and that was, I don't know. I mean, just don't beat other people up too much over it either. I mean, it happens to everybody. It does. And once you're in it, you're in it. Just be kind, be patient with yourself, and be patient with others. It can be overcome.